The UK is a vibe when it's sunny. I've always felt like if it was this sunny all the time, it'd be a great place to live. And I've been thinking a lot since I've been here about like whether I could move back. And I don't want to be the guy that slates the UK and says, oh, the UK's shit, you have to leave, get out of here, go to Dubai. Because ultimately the UK made me. I grew up here, I was raised here, I was very lucky that my grandparents came here in the 50s. And you know, it's thanks to them that I have a British passport, and you know, that's allowed me to move to Dubai very easily and get my visa, and obviously give me the education and everything. So I'm not going to sit here and say the UK is an awful place, because it isn't. And we've got a lot of freedoms here. Great education, well, maybe not so much anymore, but there is compared to most countries in the world. Great education, great security, even if London is pretty dangerous right now. Compared to most of the world, or a lot of the world, the UK is a great place to live. And I think if you're someone that's a happy person and a go-getter and you're positive and you are ambitious, then you can do well here. I think the unfortunate thing is if you do well here and you then get slapped with 40%, 50%, and really 60% tax, then you start to feel like, well, what was all that hard work for? And I think if I could see that the roads were decent and the hospitals were great and those that needed the extra hand or help were getting it, and schools were amazing, and I wouldn't feel so bad about paying 50% of my income to tax, because I'd say, okay, well, I'm lucky enough to be in a situation where I can earn money and I've had the opportunities that I've had growing up, so I don't mind paying the tax because I'm giving back. I think we're at a point now where the funding isn't going to where it should be going, and you know, a lot of the times we feel like the country is falling apart, and then it's frustrating because it's like, okay, I'm working my arse off, I've done 20-hour days or 16-hour days to get here, and now I'm paying all this money in tax, but I still have to wait 8 hours in A&E. I can't get a doctor's appointment. The schools aren't that good. I have to go private education for my kids. I wouldn't say there's much help or incentives for people starting businesses. I have to pay VAT on a hair salon that I own, which is eating into the profits, etc., etc. So I think that's why Dubai is appealing to a lot of people that have made money. Whether or not it's a place where you can go and make money, I think is another story. I think if you go there when you're young and you're hustling, and yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. But I think the biggest difference between the UK and America, and I think the Middle East is trying to capture this feeling of the American dream, is you are encouraged to dream big and you're encouraged to do big things and be different. And the attitude of people is, why not? Give it a go. If you say to someone, hey, look, I'm trying to start a company and I want it to be worth 100 million, most people in the UK will laugh and be like, all right, mate, why? Good luck with that. Or the attitude is very negative. It's like, just stay where you are, or have a simple life, or just enjoy what you've got, mate, appreciate it. I just watched a video of the founder of Monzo, and he was saying when he first started Monzo, the lawyer who was helping him was like, look, I'll help you with the paperwork, but I don't think you're going to get approved. Why are you trying to start a bank?
So when I was starting Monzo, I was 28 years old. I'd never worked in a bank. People in the UK looked at me like I was crazy. I went to a lawyer to do preparation for the regulatory interviews, and the lawyer basically said to me, I'll do the prep for you, but I don't know why you're trying. They'll never approve you. And obviously I did. Whereas in the US, I tell people I'm starting a bank, and they're like, that's awesome. How can I help? I can introduce you to this person, this person. The American dream is not a reality that most people get to live, but it is a dream that a lot of people experience. That optimism, that idea that anyone can create anything if they try hard enough is so deeply American, and it's so antithetical to the British culture.
And I have found in Dubai, everyone is doing something. Everyone is building something, or is hustling, or is trying to have a better life for themselves. And everyone's kind of up for helping you and connecting. And, you know, I felt it in LA a lot and in New York. You know, you have a meeting and you get introduced to 5 people, and before you've even left, you've got 5 new people on iMessage that you should be chatting to help you achieve your goals. And I think here, it's like, oh mate, I can't really meet you at 2 p.m. because I'm going to the pub at 3, and I don't get into the office till 11 a.m. And it's like, okay, so you guys are working from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and we're sat here wondering why this project isn't working or this business hasn't kicked off. And the reality is you are in control of your life. And obviously, I'm lucky to be born where I was born. I'm lucky to be 40 minutes away from London. There's loads of things that helped me get to where I am today. I was lucky that I had a house and I could live with my parents till I was 27. And all of these things have obviously contributed to where I am today. But I am still a grandson of immigrants. I'm a third generation British Pakistani Muslim, and I've had loads of cards stacked against me, maybe, but I always had that belief that I could do more and I was meant for more and I was going to be all right. And I think even though teachers and friends and family put me down at times or discouraged me, because that is the norm and it is what society believes here, that it's really hard to make it, and the rich are these evil people, Richard Branson and James Dyson and J.K. Rowling, and they're some of the more famous success stories. I wouldn't say they're necessarily celebrated. It's always like, oh, they're just billionaire tax evaders. Oh, he just got famous because he sold out. Or he doesn't deserve to be where he is. I should be there. This attitude it just stinks. And I think that's what I'm glad I've got away from. It's this negative, depressing, and yeah, we've got shit weather, so that probably contributes to people feeling a bit shit about themselves. But I haven't watched the news for 5 months since I've moved. And I still get the headlines on my phone. And I've come back and I'm looking at my Sky News and the BBC News, and it's like, baby falls off a building, toddler dies, building on fire, migrants, student protests, headline after headline after headline. Do I need to know about every bad thing that's happening here? Probably not. How is that affecting my day? How is that helping me in any way? It's not. But watching that every day makes you feel like, okay, cool. So the immigrants are coming here, taking our jobs, ruining our NHS. Now they're protesting and causing issues in universities. They're violent, angry, and that's why the country is where it is, which just isn't true. There's millions of Muslims in the UK, and they contribute to society. And they were called here to rebuild the country after the war, after their ancestors fought in the war to help Britain win. So we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And I think I'm sick of feeling like I'm not welcome in a country where I was born and both my parents were born. My granddad came here in the 50s and worked his arse off, and my great-granddad fought in World War II. So yeah, but it feels like home. And that's what's tough, is when you get off the plane, you feel like you're home, but people make you feel like this isn't home. And then you go to Pakistan and that doesn't feel like home. I wouldn't say Dubai feels like home because it obviously isn't, but it feels like home in the sense of there's tons of immigrants there, there's Pakistanis there, and there's tons of British people there, and tons of Americans there, and you've still got the Waitrose and the M&S if you feel a bit homesick, and you've got everything you could possibly need there. It's probably the perfect balance of like East and West. And then there's a system that allows you to set up a business really easily, to keep your income to yourself. There's great healthcare. The schools are amazing. If you're British, you send your kid to a British school. If you're Australian, you go to an Australian school. If you're Indian, there's Indian schools. Whatever you want is there. If you're a Hindu, there's temples. If you're a Muslim, there's obviously mosques on every corner. If you're a Christian, there's tons of churches. They've just built this world for you to come and have a nice life. And then, you know, you do feel a bit like, am I being selfish living in a place where I don't watch the news and I don't know what's going on in the world? And it is a bubble. But why should I know all the bad things that are happening in the world? What can I actually do about it? If I'm sat at home focusing on how can I get these bloody students to stop protesting? How can I get these immigrants to stop coming here and taking my job? Don't worry about him over there driving a taxi for 12 hours a day, because you don't want to do that. And don't worry about him working the petrol station for 12 hours a day, because you don't want to do that either. It's hard to make it here, and it's very easy to be depressed when it's raining outside. Whereas if you can wake up and see clouds and see rain and feel good, great. But some people need a bit of sun and need some encouragement and need some people doing similar things to them. And for me, Dubai has felt like a place where I'm spending time with people that want to make money, want to build businesses, want to keep fit and be healthy, want to do better for their families. And I think that's important. It's as simple as that. All right, I need to go to the mosque. Don't know if I'll use any of that, but maybe I will.
Assalamu alaikum.
I feel like I like it short.
Mrs. won't let you have it too short.
Maybe because it's hot.
Yeah.
Mrs. doesn't love the prop, but do what you want.
How it's been
I
cut.
think this looks great like this. Joking. Yeah, do what you got to do.
I think you need a nice little. And this all needs to be sorted out. Like I think, you know, no disrespect to anyone, but needs a reshape. In my humble opinion, the thickness of that compared to the thinness of that, it needs to all be like, in my opinion, strengthened.
Okay, I trust you.
Yeah.
Experience the UK when it's sunny.
Well, I know you're tricky. You should do reviews. You should do loads of tech stuff.
Yeah, but you have to be good at filming that stuff, and the lighting has to be right, and like it takes time.
Okay.
Unless I don't, unless mine is just like What do I like about this camera? What
No,
do I
but
like?
first of all, I don't think it should be willy-nilly, but I also don't think your stuff is willy-nilly anyway. Like, your setup at home is good enough so that you can do, like... And I don't think you should do whole videos just on tech, but for example, you should do, whenever there's these Apple events, a live stream with all the jokes faces that you put in, all that sort of shit. Introduce that to the world. Which one do you prefer? 2 watchers, is it you, bro?
I can't get it off. Looking at flights. I feel like a lot of my life these days is spent looking at flights. I'm coming back in the summer. Right, it's Monday, and this week's pretty hectic. There's loads going on. I'm just deciding what I want to do and what I don't want to do. But I feel like I woke up in a bit of a funk this morning, and it's kind of weird coming back because I feel like I've gone back in time. Like I feel like I haven't left. And my desk is there, my routine was set up, and my gym, and I've just plonked myself here, and I'm like, what am I doing? Who am I? And I'm getting texts and messages from everyone that I haven't seen or spoke to in ages, and the house is also dark. I'm finding it weird how dark the house is inside. Obviously, the house in Dubai is so bright. This is all dark and gloomy, and like I'm feeling claustrophobic almost because the house is obviously a lot smaller. So I'm on a walk. I haven't got any AirPods in. I feel like it's better to not listen to music or anything when you're trying to think. You should just get out there, get moving, get some sun, and you find the answers. I feel 10 times better already. I know what I need to do when I get back to the desk. Just had to get outside.
And you play the game that you want to play instead of playing the game everyone else is competing for, isn't it? It's just about doing it a bit more smarter.
I feel like I'm getting to a place where I'm going round and round in circles. Mm-hmm. And because I'm back here, I've obviously jumped straight back into old habits.
He's not basically a guy that like walks into a room and is like, okay, I'm just going to do that, the singer-songwriter thing. If you want to go wacky and wonderful, he'll go wacky and wonderful. Yeah.
It's kind of undeniable. And then it comes back to...
I'm glad I went for a walk, because that definitely helped me clear my head. And then I did a 2-hour Zoom catch up with the team here in the UK. And yeah, everything's running. I think the problem that I'm facing, and I thought I was over it, and maybe I am over it, but now that I've come back, it's chucked me straight back into where I left off. But when you spend 10 to 15 years of your life trying to reach a goal, and then you hit the goal, it's kind of like, what now? And there's obviously people that are way younger than me and way more successful than me, but I guess they've got their reason to keep going. But I think everyone has a number, and everyone has a certain lifestyle and life that they want for themselves. And once you've hit that target, then what? And I've obviously, over the last 10 to 15 years, always had my goal in mind and a plan to get to that goal. And that's been very clear, and that has made it very easy for me to wake up and know what I'm doing and what needs to be done to get to where I want to get to. And then you get it, and it's like, what now? And I think one thing I've also realized is how much we do out of habit. When you live the same life day in, day out for so long, that just becomes you, and in your head you know, like, okay, cool, I need to get to 7 figures. And once I make $1 million, then I'm done. I'm happy and whatever. And then, you know, or once I get to 100 grand, I'm done. And you get to 100 grand and it's like, okay, cool, what's next? Well, I need to have 250. And you get 250. And I actually think the difference between 250 grand and $1 million, I'd say lifestyle wise, I don't think is that different. And that might also just be because I've grown up a little bit. And I'm glad I've made money at this age and not when I felt like I had to go to Harrods and buy the whole place just to flex, or go to Bicester Village and clear my bank account, or buy every single Apple product that existed. But it's weird because all your life you want money, and then you get to a point where you've got enough money to buy anything and you don't want the things really, or you're smart enough to know that actually I can get the thing but it's not going to change my life massively. It's going to be amazing for a week or two, and then it's back to, okay, who am I? What am I doing? What's my purpose? Why am I working? What am I working on? Who am I helping? And I'm not sure if I want to post this because, like, it also comes across as boasting. It's like, I'm so happy, I've ticked everything off. Poor old me, what do I do now? But what's making me want to post it is there must be so many other people that are in the same boat. And it's hard to go online and say I've completed life and now I don't know what I'm doing or who I am. And I think when you're religious or spiritual, or me personally, I feel like I'm quite religious, then you add in the elements of like the religion where this is all a test and this life isn't that important and we're here to worship God and get to heaven. So then it's like, okay, cool, well, if I've actually got enough money to do nothing for the rest of my life, I wouldn't say I'm quite there, but I've definitely got enough to go and live a very simple life somewhere. Then it's like, well, should I just be focusing all my time on worship and praying and God and not necessarily trying to make more money? But I think what I've realized about myself over the last, let's call it 6 months of deep diving into who I am and what's next, is that I love the game more than the money. And, you know, the game of business and deals, speaking to people and building stuff that goes online is fun. And I think the fact that I could do it for 7 years before seeing any real money proves the fact that it wasn't about the money, it was about the game. But now it's like battling with the thoughts of like, well, hold on, am I just playing the game because I'm greedy and I want to make more money? Life's not all about money. And then it's like, well, actually, no, I really like building stuff and I like playing the games, that's why I should do it. But then it's like, okay, cool, what game do I want to play? Do I want to play the same game that I've been playing for 10 years that actually is beginning to feel boring and not as much challenging as it was? And then it's like, okay, cool, well, I'm actually also at a different stage in life now. I'm a dad and I've got kids and I want to be there and I want to have balance. There's some people that will say, well, actually, you should just be obsessed with your goals and, 100%, I agree. I wouldn't have got here if I wasn't obsessed. I wouldn't have got here if I didn't sacrifice family events and family time and parties and hanging with my friends. I sacrificed all of that in my 20s to get to where I am now in my 30s. So now that you've got to your 30s and you've got the wife and the kid, do you do what you said you were going to do, which is take it easy? Or do you carry on doing what you did to get here? Because you don't want to lose everything that you've got and everything that you've built. And it's very easy to spend money and run out. And it's very easy to get back to where you were before everything worked out. And that's the dilemma. And I think the more I'm seeing successful people talk about their lives and the more I'm meeting people, I can see that they have something that drives them still. And I think a lot of the time, what drives people is some form of insecurity. And the more you work on yourself and your insecurities and your flaws and, you do some therapy and look into your childhood, once you solve those problems, then what's the driver? Because it's now no longer about trying to buy the things you couldn't buy when you went to a nice school and everyone had nice stuff and you didn't. It's now no longer about like wanting a nice car because your mum used to park a while away from the school so no one would see the car, blah, 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 whatever it is. All the things that I guess drove me to get here, I've done it now. So, well, why are you working? And then a lot of people say, well, actually, I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing it so they have a nice life. And then I'm also, I think, wise enough to know that what my kids need or want isn't money. Me building a £10 million empire or a £100 million empire to leave to my kid is actually quite possibly the worst thing I could do for them. Because what they need is some struggle and a purpose, and they're going to be saying the same thing that I'm saying now, which is, why should I work? What am I doing with my life? Who am I? I've got 10 million in the bank thanks to my dad and my granddad. So really, you think you're setting up your future generations, but actually you're not. So then it goes back to why. Why keep playing the game? So if my why is, well, I want to help people and I want to give back, great. That still feels like it's coming from a place of ego and personal gain because helping people makes us feel good. That's fine though, because you're still helping people. And then obviously a byproduct of helping people is making more money. I don't think money is a problem, and I don't believe money is the root of all evil. I think money gives you freedom, and if you can use that freedom to spend time doing what you want to do, great. If that's working more and making more money, happy days. If that's spending time with your family a bit more and having amazing experiences, fantastic, well done to you. But yeah, it is a crossroad. And I think ideally what I would like to do is disappear off the face of the earth for a year and just read some books and travel and sit on a beach and think. But I've got clients that would probably leave and a business that would probably fail, which then brings me on to the point that maybe it's not a business that I've built, it's a service-based company around me. Because if you can't walk away, it's not really a business. So these are the conversations, the dilemmas of where I'm at. But I'm 31. Should I be going to the beach every day with my baby and, doing a couple of hours work a day? Probably not. Should I be retired? Probably not. But I could. and I could move to Saudi and dedicate my whole life to God. And he's going to ask me, he's going to say, why didn't you do that? And it's an interesting way of looking at things. As in, is it selfish if God's given me the potential to, let's say, turn 1,000 people into millionaires, or make loads of money and help 100,000 people eat? He's given me this brain and these skills and the ability to do all this stuff. Is it right for me to say, actually, I'm done, I just want to chill and enjoy the fruits of my labor, and everyone else can live a shit life and suffer? That's not right either. And I think at times like this I should go back to my religion and Islam and what it tells me, and ultimately working on a cause and working for your family to provide is worship. And you know, if you do it for the sake of God, then you will be rewarded as if you were worshipping. So that's kind of nice, because then it's like, okay, cool, I can actually work, and if I do it for God and not just because I want to make more money, then I will be rewarded. But yeah, I'd say advice for anyone going through what I'm going through is take the time out to sit and think, talk to a therapist or life coach and discuss, because really you know deep down what the answers are. I know what the answers are. I'm just procrastinating on making the decisions, and it's scary. And I think when you're planning for a goal, plan for what's next. As in, when I was 16 and saying I'm going to be a millionaire by 30 so I can retire, at 16 obviously I wouldn't have had the foresight, but I should have known that I wouldn't be happy to retire at 30, because that's ridiculous. So yeah, when you're planning for a goal, plan for the thing after it too, because you might just achieve it either quicker than you think or on time, and then you need to think about what's next. What was I saying? Just complaining about my life and how sad it is and how rich I am. Poor old me. I've completed life. What's next? Oh, there's my dad and my baby. That's what matters, isn't it?